students, welcome in the history class of 6th standard. Students, today we are going to continue lesson number 9, the Mauryan Empire. Till now, we had discussed the administration of the Mauryan Empire. So students, now I would like to take feedback of the previous topic through some questions. So the first question is, what were the four heads of the Mauryan administration? Second, write about the spy system of the Mauryas. And the third question is, what was the system of administration in Patliputra? So students, I hope you are able to answer all these questions. Now, in today's class, we are going to read the Mauryan economy. We will also read chief features of the Mauryan dynasty and the decline of the Mauryan Empire. So students, see the important terms related to the today's video.
First term is guilds.
Trade unions having artisans or craftsmen doing the same job. Second is Srenis, economic cooperation. Now let's read today's topic. The Mauryan economy. The king received revenue from land and other resources. People in the Mauryan times were mainly divided into three main classes. First is farmers, herdsmen, and hunters. Second, traders. Third, artisans. So, children, herdsman means cattleman, artisan means craftsman. So, children, land revenue was the main source of income of the Mauryan Empire. People were divided into three classes during the Mauryan times.
First class was of farmers, herdsmen, and hunters.
Second class was traders. And the third class was artisans. Now let's read further. Sources of revenue. Land revenue was the main source of income for the state. It varied from 1/4 to 1/6 of the produce depending upon the fertility of the soil. Forests, water resources, mines and fisheries, fines, taxes on various professions were other sources of income. Fertility means productivity. So students, as you already know, that land revenue means tax from the land was the main source of income in the Mauryan Empire. But the amount of revenue was different according to the productivity of the soil. Besides land revenue, other sources of income were forests, water resources, mines, and fisheries. Let's read further. The king also received gifts from wealthy merchants and traders that added to the revenues of the state. The money collected through taxes was spent on paying salaries to officials, maintaining the army, and doing public welfare activities like building of hospitals, roads, rest houses, etc. The gifts given by the businessmen to the king were also considered as the source of income. So students, the money collected from the different sources was spent on paying salaries to officers, maintaining the army and doing public welfare activities like building of roads, rest houses, hospitals, etc. Now students, we will read trade and industry of the Mauryan Empire. The Mauryan Empire had a flourishing trade, both internal and external. Many arts and crafts developed during this period. The Committee of Industrial Arts supervised the development of industry and crafts. People manufactured chariots, wagons, arms, and agricultural implements.
Many were employed in buildings of ships.
Metals like bronze, copper, tin, and lead were used extensively. Extensively means largely. So, students, both internal and external trade were flourished during the Mauryan Empire. Handicraft industry was also developed.
People used to build chariots,
Wagons means carts and agricultural tools. Some people engaged in building of ships. Metals like bronze, copper, tin, and lead were used in large scale. Let's read further.
the lower Gangetic Valley was famous for its fine quality muslins.
Cotton and silk from the northwest was famous. Thousands of women were employed in the handicrafts industry. Traders and craftsmen were organized into guilds, trade union or shrenis, economic corporation,
So, children, muslin is a kind of cloth.
which was famous in the lower Gangetic Valley in the Mauryan Empire. Silk and cotton was also famous. A large number of women were engaged in the handicrafts industry. Students, handmade things are known as handicrafts.
So, handicraft industry was also developed very much in the Mauryan Empire.
Now let's read the next paragraph. Cities like Takshila, Ujjain, Kosambi, Kasi, and Patliputra were important centers of trade, both internal and external. External trade was carried on with Rome, Egypt, China, and Sri Lanka.
Traders knew the use of weights and measures.
They used punch marked coins for transactions. So, students, important centers of trade were Takshila, Ujjain, Kosambi, Kasi, and Patliputra. External trade means foreign trade carried on with the countries like Rome, Egypt, China, and Sri Lanka. Punch marked coins were the medium of exchange during the Mauryan Empire.
These were a type of early coinage of India. These coins were usually made of metal.
Now, children, we will read the next topic, chief features of the Mauryan dynasty. Religion. The principal religious sects in the Mauryan period were Brahmins, Buddhists, and Jains. There was also a class of yogis, hermits, and ascetics. Vedic gods were still worshipped, although sacrifices were common. Yet Ashok tried to put a stop on killing of any creature. Buddhism emerged as the most popular religion under the royal patronage of Ashok. Vaishnavism and Shaivism were also gradually gaining grounds. So, students, sect means religious belief. Ascetic means a self-disciplined man. So, students, there were three main religious beliefs during the Mauryan Empire. They were Brahmanism, Buddhism, and Jainism. There was another class consisted of yogis, hermits, and ascetics. Students, Hindi meaning of hermits is sadhu. Animal sacrifices means killing of animals were common during the Mauryan period, but the king Ashok prohibited the killing of any creature. Buddhism came out as the most popular religion due to the efforts of the king Ashok.
Students, Vaishnavism and Shaivism were the two branches of Hinduism. In the Vaishnavism, people believed in the supremacy of Lord Vishnu. And in the Shaivism, people believed in the supreme power of Lord Shiv.
Now, next point is society. According to Maxinis, the three upper classes, that is, the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, continued to enjoy their position in the society.
Students, as you already know about Megasthenes, who wrote in his book Indica about the caste system during the Mauryan Empire.
The three upper classes were consisted of the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas. These three classes enjoyed their position in the society, and Shudras were ill treated by them.
Next point is art. The Mauryan emperors were efficient builders. They erected marvelous buildings and artistic stone monuments. Some of them are the finest specimens of ancient art. The buildings, palaces, and monuments of Chandragupta Maurya have perished because they were mostly made of wood. Ashok constructed monuments of stone. Erected means built, marvelous means amazing, specimen means example, perished means spoiled. So, students, the Mauryan kings built amazing buildings and stone monuments. Their buildings are the finest examples of ancient art.
The buildings, monuments, and palaces were built by Chandragupta Maurya
Have spoiled because they were mostly made of wood, but Ashok built monuments of stone. The architecture of the Ashokan period is divided into four heads. So, students, Ashokan architecture is divided into four parts. First is stupas. A stupa is a solid dome shaped structure of brick or stone. It rests on a round base. It is surmounted by an umbrella, which is a symbol of spiritual sovereignty. At times, a stupa was surrounded by stone railings and had one or more gateways. The relics of the Buddha or famous Buddhist saints and monks were kept inside the stupa. The Great Stupa at Sanchi is the most famous stupa built by Ashok. So, students, a stupa is a solid, dome shaped building made of brick. It has round base and there is an umbrella on its top, which is a symbol of spirituality. The Sanchi Stupa is the most famous stupa constructed by Ashok. Next is pillars. The pillars are the best specimens of the Ashokan art and present a fine blend of engineering, architecture, and sculpture. A pillar had three parts: the prop, buried under the ground, the shaft or column, made of a single piece of sandstone,
the capital, which consists of any animal figure as lion or elephant,
or the sacred Dharmachakra symbol or the inverted lotus. The pillar at Sarnath near Varanasi is the most magnificent pillar of the modern age.
it has four lines sitting back to back, facing the four directions carved on its top.
Below each line is a chakra or wheel. This line capital is now the national emblem of India. It also appears on the Indian currency. The wheel appears on our national flag. The pillar at Loria, Nandangarh,
With an animal capital at the top is another famous Mauryan pillar.
so, students, Ashokan art was also famous for its pillars. See, a pillar had three parts. The lower part was the prop, which was buried under the ground. Middle part was the shaft or column, and the upper part was the capital.
Which was consisted of any animal figure as lion or elephant.
With sacred Dharmachakra symbol. The pillar of Sarnath is the most famous pillar of the Mauryan age.
Its upper part consists of lion, is now national emblem of India.
The wheel that is below each line also appears on our national flag.
Now, next is palaces. Ashok built many palaces. The most famous was the magnificent palace at Patliputra. Palace of Patliputra was the most famous palace of Ashokan period. Now, let's read the fourth part of the Mauryan art. Caves. The Mauryan caves were cut out of hard rocks. Their interior walls were so well polished that they shine like mirrors. They served as assembly halls or as residences for monks. The Sudhama cave in the Barbar Hills was dedicated to the monks of the Ajivika sect by Ashok. So, students, caves of the Ashokan period are also the finest example of Ashokan art. The interior walls of these caves shine like mirrors.
Monks used these caves as their assembly halls or residence.
The Sudhama cave of the Barbar Hills was the most famous cave during the Mauryan age. Now let's read decline of the Mauryan Empire. With the death of Ashok in 232 BC, the mighty empire of the Mauryas began to decline. It ultimately came to an end when the last Mauryan ruler, Brihadrath, was killed by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Shung in 185 BC.
So students, the last king of the Mauryan Empire was Brihadrath, who was killed by his own general named Pushyamitra Shung in 185 BC.
Now we will read the causes for the downfall of the Mauryans. First cause was revolt of the Brahmins as their prestige and privileges had declined considerably under the Mauryans. The religion of Ashok was against rituals and animal sacrifices, which was a setback for the Brahmins who performed sacrifices. Prestige means status, privileges means rights.
So, the Brahmins of Ashok's empire were not satisfied because Ashok banned animal sacrifice. It stopped the income of Brahmins who received gifts in the form of various kinds of sacrifices made to them.
Second point, after Ashok, there was no mighty ruler of the Mauryan dynasty who could check the forces of disintegration.
So, there was no mighty ruler who could stop the external forces which were responsible for the breaking of the Mauryan dynasty into small kingdoms.
Third point, the weak successors to Ashok could not resist the invasions of the Greeks.
So, after Ashok's death, the Greeks invaded India. The entries of the foreigners towards the region of the Mauryan Empire proved that empire was no longer capable of defending itself.
Next point, the vast empire could not be administered efficiently in the absence of a strong ruler. Thus, nobles often rebelled and far off provinces gradually became independent.
So, children, the Mauryan Empire was too vast in its extent. It was itself a source of weakness rather than of strength. Because of the lack of the communication and strong ruler, the far off provinces started becoming independent slowly.
Last point, the empire gradually grew financially weak as most of the resources were spent on maintaining large armies and paying salaries to the huge number of government officials.
So, children, during the Mauryan age, a huge expenditure was done on maintaining army. Ashok, during his rule, made large grants to the Buddhist monks, which made the royal treasury empty. So, the Mauryan kings who succeeded Ashok faced the financial crisis.
So students, these were the causes of the decline of the Mauryan Empire. So students, this chapter is completed now. Now students, your homework is complete all the exercises with the help of videos.